Alright everyone, welcome to vlog number 46 titled Ask Me Anything. I'm doing this type of vlog because at the start of this week I felt so bad. I caught the man flu. I thought I was going to die. I was just lying in my bed and I wasn't going to be able to ride my bike. Thankfully I'm feeling a lot better today. I'm able to do this vlog. It is chucking it down outside though, so I can't ride my bike outside unless I wanted to get absolutely soaked, which I don't. So I put on my Instagram basically to ask you guys to send me your questions, anything you wanted, and I will try my best to answer them. Now I got an absolute load of questions, so I'm not going to answer all of them, but I have put some of my favourite ones on this sheet here, and I'm going to go through them one by one. Right, so let's just get on with this then, shall we? So, Brogan Bursil Trials asks, who was your first sponsor and how did you get them? Well, my first sponsor, I think, was actually a bike shop and the Monty importer at the time, which was Clean Bikes, run by Barbara Wright and, at the start of it, Chris Wright, her son. And, I wasn't really winning the top-end comps at the time, but I was showing potential, and I think Clean Bikes pride themselves on figuring out who's going to be successful in the future. They've sponsored quite a few riders who have come up and become like really, really good riders. So yeah, they obviously saw a bit of talent in me, decided to help me out with some bikes, and yeah, they were my first sponsor all the way back then. We've got the Blondie. Where was your favourite place to ride from the places you have already been to? Well, that's that's a difficult question. I've been to so many places. Let's see, street-wise, where's the best place? Barcelona, I reckon. I don't know what those Spanish are doing when they're like the architects are designing the streets and the buildings, but I wish we had some more of those guys over here. They're absolutely ridiculous at just designing the most amazing buildings and street furniture to ride on. There's pretty much the best stuff you've ever ridden in your life around every corner. But for competition stuff, rocks, natural, there's two places I can think off the top of my head, abroad anyway. First one is Bouthier in France, where the brand Cox used to hold their event called Cox Days. Yeah, don't laugh guys. And it's just the most amazing round rocks with run-ups, kickers, wall rides. It's an amazing bouldering place as well, and I actually really, really want to go back there, possibly even this summer. The other place I really, really liked was Camps Bay in South Africa. The rocks there are just unreal. I've never ridden a place with that style of rock, just absolutely huge, like as big as houses, round and super, super grippy. Got Matthew Gibson 14, who was your inspiration to ride trials? Now there's quite a few riders, so I made a little thing here. Hopefully you guys can see that one. Stop. So the main three, we've got Martin Ashton, Martin Horse, Chris Akrig. They were the top riders. They were always in the magazines. They were the guys that I basically wanted to be around. We've got the Charles Kings, Adam Burns, Steve Howes, Danny Horroyd. They were local to me and they were just heroes. We've got, again, people who were in the magazines. We've got Matt Tung, Eddie Tung, Kurt Brain. Then we've got Hans Ray, Peter Kraus, a couple of the old school riders in there. And there's a couple of local riders who really inspired me as well. We've got Danny Smith and Chris Wright. Danny Smith, he really helped me out. He used to take me to some really amazing riding spots. He was always that bit much ahead of me riding wise, and he really pushed my riding. I was really inspired with how big he could go. Next question. Got Texan Jackson. When you started riding trials, was it on a high-end trials bike or was it just a crappy one? Well, actually the first bike I ever started riding on was a 1996 GT Avalanche. And it's had an 18-inch frame. It was pretty cross-country spec, so it had 120mm stem, narrow flat bars, had 1.95 tyres, it had skinny cross-country rims, it had a triple chainring on there, and it just had cantilever brakes on there, not even V-brakes. But it was the best bike ever. That was the bike that really got me going to competitions. I did a year's worth of competitions on this bike and I came third overall in novice category, I think it was. And it is absolutely awful for trials, but that bike taught me so much. I actually think if you ride on a bit of a crappy bike, certainly crappy for trials, it will teach you so much about how to use your body weight, how to best get the balance if your brakes aren't quite as good. So yeah, don't think you need the absolute best trials bike to learn on. Oscar Stewart, did you have a BMX background and how old were you when your sponsors picked you up? Everyone thinks I've got a BMX background. I guess what I do now is kind of BMX influenced, but no, I don't have a BMX background. Trials was pretty much the first bike sport I ever got into. So no, I don't have a BMX background despite the riding I do now. It is literally all from trials riding, which I've now kind of got influence from watching people ride BMX. Like I said with the first question, that was way back in about 2002. I was 18 in 2002, so around 17, 18, I can't quite remember. And the next one, we've got, how do you pronounce that? Kikandrimak. I'll just leave it as that. If I've murdered it, I'm apologising now. How often do you ride per week and how many hours? In the summer, when it's nice weather, I tend to get out most days, but it could be for 10 minutes, it could be for half an hour, I could be out for 5 hours. It's not set in stone how much I ride. In the winter, you know, maybe just once a week, something like that. No excuses, I should go out riding in the rain, but as I've got older, I've enjoyed getting wet less and less. Who have we got next? That didn't work. There we go. Hilux Sport, what do you think about the Inspired Hex? Well, it's really, really good. Will Ackerley, how do you think you would do at an actual trial, British Championship, and why don't you try one? Well, I'm not sure if some of you guys know, but I used to compete. That was what I did. I did competitions as my main type of trials riding. I did competitions for about 12 years, and I actually entered the British Championships quite a few times in a row. I actually won the British Championships, I think in 2004 in expert categories, the one below elite, and I actually came second in elite a couple of times, I think. I actually entered a British Championship round on my Hex a few years ago, and I messed about. I was doing tabletops in sections, I was trying to manual stuff, and in my last section I tried to kick her off a route and do some kind of tabletop thing, and I just crashed spectacularly, got maximum points, and if I hadn't have crashed, I would have actually won that round on my Hex. So I was a bit gutted about that. Next, get that over there. Scott C121, what was your career path before riding became your career? I didn't really have a career path. My job before I became a full-time rider was working at Tarty Bikes, who I'm still sponsored by now. They are the world's leading trials shop. Yeah, I used to work there. I was on the phones, I was in the workshop, and I was packing orders, but it was a great job. I actually really liked it there. To be honest with you, I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. All I ever knew was riding bikes, so I'm extremely happy that now riding is my career. Right, and right, I'm going to absolutely murder your name. I'm really sorry about this, Kieran, but we've got Kieran Ostrozonik. He says, would you consider a PIC, I assume he means POC, Scottish Enduro? Well, yes I would. It's funny you should mention it actually, because just the other day I went online and I've put them all in my diary. Now there's going to be some which I can't do, but I definitely want to get to at least one this summer. And I'm going to vlog it. I've no idea what you're supposed to do in enduro, but I think it'd be pretty entertaining. And I've actually entered myself into a couple of the Tweedlove enduro events later this summer. Onwards. Now I've got Hamcam Eve. He says, what was with the red t-shirt you wore with Danny? What was with that t-shirt? I think you mean this one. Well, I got this t-shirt because, firstly, I like the design. It's by Alex Gray. He does all the artwork for a band called Tool. And I really like psychedelic stuff. Even though I don't drink or do drugs, I just like psychedelic music. I like psychedelic patterns and stuff like that. So that's why I got this. Plus, it stands out. When I'm in a vlog, when I'm in the streets or in the dark, a bright t-shirt stands out on the video more than a dark one does. Anyway, let's swap back to the cat t-shirt, shall we? By the way, if anyone knows who this cat is, let me know in the comments. Right, what else have we got? We've got Eric BB. When and where did you meet Danny? Long story short, I rode for a company called Global, who made titanium frames. I helped them develop a trials frame, which I was happily riding. And then a kid from the Isle of Skye ordered one, and I had to give up my frame, which I'd only just built up, to give it away so that this kid from the Isle of Skye could get this frame. Little did I know that that was Danny, and a few years later I was riding a competition at Fort William, and I recognised the bike. I was like, oh my god, that's my bike. And it was Danny, of course. He wasn't famous by then by any means, but I think I met him there. I don't particularly remember it, but I'm pretty sure I met him that time, and that was around 2005, I think. After that, he started doing demos with the clan. He obviously then became pretty famous, and he'd heard of my riding, seen it in videos, whatever. I was lucky enough that Danny basically approached me and said, would I like to be his replacement in the clan? And yeah, that's how it all went. And that's how I met Danny. Right, next one. Ethan JRL, what gave you the idea to make the arcade? Well, basically, we thought, make the arcade, stuff happens, and then profit. Seems about right to me. But if I'm being serial, I just want to get this off my chest. The arcade wasn't just me. The arcade was myself, Mark Westlake, and Sean Watson. We all had a helping hand in like the development of the bike. But the overall idea was that we wanted something a bit more BMX-y. Previously inspired with them all being aluminium tube, they look quite mountain bikey. We thought if it went a bit more BMX-y, we could maybe attract a slightly different demographic. Old School Blythe, he asks, how do you street lads get into your jeans? I'm wearing some jeans now, they're pretty tight, but they're stretchy. They're nice and stretchy, look at that, it's pretty much, it's like wearing nothing at all. Basically, yeah, the house jeans are stretchy, we get full range of movement in them. It's kind of like wearing leggings, I guess. Plus they don't get parts stuck in the bike, so yeah, talcum powder helps as well. Next. We've got Rory. You've seen him in the vlogs before. He asks, what's your dream car? Well, you're asking the wrong question there. See, I'm not a big car fan. Cars are out, but vans are awesome. Vans are in. My dream van would be, well, to be honest with you, something old school. I'd really like a 1970s or 80s Bedford CF, done up in like panel van style, slightly wide arches on the back, modernized to make it more economical and powerful, all rust proofed, and then set up with a bed and a bike rack system in the back. That would be my absolute dream vehicle. But if I'm being more realistic, something that I'm more likely to actually get, probably something like a VW T5 or T6. I quite like a 4Motion one or a Synchro, just so I can go off-road. But as long as I've got some kind of bed system in the back, I'm happy. Rich Plumber 82, do you still have the Ashton Justice you rode in your old video Gravity? That was one of my favourite bikes I've ever had. I absolutely have no idea what happened to it. I either broke it or sold it on, but yeah, they're such cool bikes, really good looking, and I miss it, to be honest with you. I've got Baxter Backs from the Philippines here. What was your memorable experience when you were here? Quite a few, but the one that sticks out to me is being able to go into the sea and being warm. I absolutely love swimming. I love going in the sea, and to just be able to go into the sea and stay in there for hours. If it was up to me, I would stay in there all day, especially with the waves. So yeah, that was the thing that I remember the most, just being able to stay in the sea for as long as I wanted. What we got next? We've got Slow Row, unlimited budget to make a YouTube vid, what would you do? I would probably go to some of the wonders of the world, some of the most scenic places you've ever seen, some places that need helicopters to get to. Yeah, obviously that costs a lot, so that would be my video if I had an unlimited budget. Next. We've got Rasmus Trial. Can you not try a real trials bike in a vlog? Real trials bike? Hang on a sec. Feels pretty real to me. I think what he means is, would I ever try a competition style bike? Yeah, maybe an old school competition bike I'd like to try, but yeah, they don't really make them anymore. It's hard to get one, so probably not. N223K, I'm not sure if that's supposed to spell anything. What's your favourite competition that you took part in? Well, I've got a list here. Number 1, the French round of the 2006 World Championships. I actually won that round of the World Championships, so as far as traditional competitions go, that is my favourite. My parents were there, it was in front of all my favourite trials riders, and I was up there on the podium with my trophy, so that was my favourite ever traditional trials competition. Second would be the Red Bull Streetlight Sessions, which they had two, one in Bristol. The one in Manchester I won Best Trick at and got a nice big novelty oversized check. That was again in front of Martin Ashton, in front of Danny McCaskill before I knew him all that well. And I had such a good time, even though I was absolutely chucking it down. That was such good fun. Number three, all the comps at Dressler Camp in Czech. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this, but Joseph Dressler was an old school trials rider. He was up there with like OP and stuff like that. And he has a camp in Czech, obviously, and they have lots of really fun competitions. They have like 4 cross trials, which has never been done before. They have freestyle comps. They have a best trick comp, and each one of those is just so much fun. They have bands going, they have just water slides, just anything. It's absolutely brilliant. Golfer Stephen, what tips and tricks would you offer to someone who's just trying out trials for the first time? Well, there's a few. Number one would be ride as much as possible. The more you ride, the more you get used to the bike, and the better you become. It's as simple as that, it really is. Number two, don't skip the basic stuff. This is really important. Don't skip just track stands. Don't skip being able to balance on skinny things. These are vital, absolutely vital. And the more you practice those, again, with point number one, the better you become. So don't skip those. Ride everything. Now this means ride street, ride skate parks, go out and ride logs and rocks in the woods. Just ride anything you can. The more varied the terrain, the better you'll become. And number four, be patient. Trials is hard. It takes a long time. I've been doing this for 19 years. So be patient, don't rush things. And again, back to point number one, ride as much as possible and it will speed things up. Angus Kinnock, tubes or tubeless? Well, that's an easy one. It's got to be tubeless, hasn't it? Jack Zappel, when you start street trial, do you start with a trial bike or a street trial bike? When I started street trials, I had a competition style bike, but if you are starting street trials now, you can start on any bike. Basically, don't think you need a street trials bike to start street trials. It's like a tongue twister. I hope you understand anyway. Digital for or ink, Digital Frank. What hollow star nut do you use for running the front brake hose through the headset? I don't actually use a star nut. The beauty of my bike is I have the inspired forks, and all models except I think the cheapest Flow models have a threaded steerer tube and top cap which threads in, which then allows you to put the hose through it. So I don't have a star nut, I've just got inspired forks which let you do that. Sim Busy. Are you into music, or are you or your flatmates playing some instruments? I love music. I made this. Hopefully you guys can see that from there, but these are my favourite ever bands. And obviously the red ones are my most favourite, and hopefully you guys can see all the other ones splattered in there. But Pink Floyd, the Black Angels, Dead Meadow, I absolutely love that psychedelic type stuff. Absolutely brilliant. Schnarf Schnarf actually lived next door to me, and yeah, if you haven't checked them out, go check them out. Really, really cool. And who we got next? Simeon.99. What do you think about 26-inch street trials bikes? Are they good enough? What are the differences between the 24 and 26-inch? I mean, how do they ride and jump? I think 26-inch have some advantages. The bigger wheels mean you can roll across stuff, so if you've got a bumpy run up, way better for that. There's more tyre choices, so if you're riding rocks, you can get some grippy, soft compound tyres on there. And even for some moves like hooks, because you've got the bigger wheels, they go around the edges of stuff way easier. So I can actually hook higher on 26-inch than I can 24-inch. And even stuff like if you do taps where you hit your front wheel against walls, way better on 26-inch. So they do have some advantages, but 24-inch tend to spin a little bit better. If you're into tail whips, you tail whip a 24-inch way better than you will a 26. And yeah, they're just a little bit more nimble. You can get a little bit more extreme geometry on them. Who we've got? Gandalf the Yellow. What's your absolute favourite all-time trials video? Well, I guess that has to be tricks and stunts. absolutely watched that video to death. I had it on VHS and I wore the thing out. I pretty much memorised every word. Martin Ashton, Martin Hawes, Hans Ray saying that thing. I thought it was just brilliant, and even now if I hear a track, hear some of the music from that video, it gives me goosebumps. I absolutely love it. That didn't work. We've got toast bikes. What is my favourite toast topping? That's an easy one. Back when I lived with my parents, my mum made fresh bread pretty much every single day, and my dad kept bees, so we had pretty much an endless supply of the nicest tasting honey you've ever experienced in your life. So pretty much every morning I would have honey on toast. Nathan Carswell, 2001. Do you ever wish you'd done something different in life? No, not really. We've got Can See Colours. What was the first trick you were ever proud of when you first riding? I'm not sure if it was a trick as such, but I remember the first time I could drop off anything remotely high. I think it was actually some old canal lock gates, because I used to live near a canal where they used to make lock gates, and they used to get all the old lock gates and pile them up on the canal side. And it had varied heights, but I remember one being about 8 foot high. And I remember the day I could jump off that, and I'm pretty sure I ran home and dragged my parents out to come and watch me do it. Who have we got next? Oh, how do you pronounce that name? Dara McHugh. I hope I got that right. What was the first trick you learnt on a bike? Okay, so kind of related to that last one. Actual tricks, I reckon, was a wheelie. The first trick I ever learnt was to do a wheelie. It's pretty much what everyone learns the first thing, isn't it? See who could wheelie the furthest out of all their friends. Cookie Bay. Who would win in a fight, Batman or Spider-Man? They are fighting over who gets to go for a lovely lamb lunch with Jessie from Little Mix. I've no idea who that is, but there's only going to be one winner. Who else is going to be? It's Batman. He's a billionaire, genius, martial arts, super detective. How is he not going to win? And by the way, I drew that freehand. Pretty good, eh? Matty Turner, what made you start doing YouTube? The one question kids always asked me was, what's your YouTube channel? What's your YouTube channel? And I didn't have one. So I started a YouTube channel and I just went and put up videos which I'd previously done. It wasn't until I really thought about, what do I want to do? I want to, get known for riding. And I think everyone kind of has the same plan. They want to become famous, they want to become sponsored, they want their name to stand out. And everyone, including myself, all thought that the best way to do that was to do what Danny's doing, make the epic video. The only thing with that is Danny has got that absolutely sewn up. No one can do that as good as Danny, or even if they did, they'll still be second to Danny. So I thought, what's a way I could still get my name out there without doing what Danny does? So I thought I would go completely opposite direction. I would go super, super raw. I would show real life trials, not like the super polished edit. And I thought that way I would get known for being me, not just a Danny copy. And yeah, it seems to be working out. People seem to be enjoying it. I'm getting subscribers, so yeah, fingers crossed it will continue to grow. Next. BK Guard. How do you deal with fear? Usually just cash in hand. It just makes life a little bit easier. We've got Nick Nuns. Would you rather have hands for feet providing superior dexterity, or feet for hands providing great speed over varied terrain? That is the weirdest question I think I'm going to have all day, but it has an easy answer. That's a self-portrait, by the way. I'd definitely rather have hands for feet. Jane, my girlfriend, is really into mobility and just getting your feet working, getting your toes spread out so you can get a better purchase on the floor, a better grip. So I think ideally having hands for feet would be way better. You could hold onto branches, you could pick stuff up, you could grip onto your pedals way better. Ryan Pajak 24. What do you find was the biggest change when you went from trials to street trials? Actually, one of the biggest changes I found was coming to terms with the harder tyre pressures. I was used to running about 18, 20 PSI in the back of my bike, and going from that to like 45, 50 PSI, it's amazing how much difference that makes. It took feet off my gaps, it took feet off my side ops. You just can't go as big. Even balancing is harder because the tyre has a smaller footprint on the floor. You don't get as much grip, and it just took me so long to get used to. Whereas now, if I go on a bike that has soft tyres, it just feels totally alien to me. A. Guzema. I'm absolutely merging all these names. Typical. When will we see pegs on your bike? You're not going to see pegs on my bike. That is a bad idea. Voon HD. Would you ever collaborate with pro BMX riders such as Harry Main or mountain bike rider Sam Pilgrim? It's actually funny you should mention that. I actually got in touch with Sam Pilgrim just last week, and we've arranged a date where I'm going to go down and ride with him, so keep an eye out for that one. Jake A. Lomas. What tricks are crucial for trials? Track stands, they're absolutely vital. Boring, but vital. Front pivots, that's another thing, absolutely vital. Be able to put your back wheel around. And the other one, bunny hops. You need to be able to bunny hop, especially for street trials. It pretty much opens up everything. Has 12 mountain bike. Who is the worst and best behaved in drop and roll? This one's easy. Ricky Crompton, even though he's not a staple on the drop and roll team, he has been used a couple of times. He was our MC in the Philippines. He is the devil. He is the absolute worst behaved of the bunch of us. Not to say he's a bad guy, he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet, but if anyone's going to get in trouble, it's Ricky Crompton. And on the other end of the scale, we've got good old Dave Mack. He's an angel. He's more likely to get you out of trouble than to get you into trouble. We've got Eric Llewellyn. Can you say hi to me? Hi, Eric. So that was a nice simple question to end on there. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe. Until next time, get out and ride your bike. You know the drill. Follow my Instagram, follow my Facebook, and yeah, I'll see you next time, guys.